Ava had read every single one of Mary Grant's memoirs. They were known for featuring bold women in impossible circumstances, which is what made this whole arrangement seem odd to Ava. From what she could tell of Rosalie's background, there wasn't anything shocking like the other memoir stories Mary had written. Then again, Ava had gotten her background information on Rosalie from the internet, and who knew how accurate that was. That's very exciting. It is, Rosalie said, walking around the space again and trailing a hand along the back side of the couch as if she were a star in a black and white movie. I think I'll stay up here until Mary arrives. Will that do? Yes, here. Ava rustled in her pockets for the key cards. This is to your room, and this card is for this room. You're on the second floor in the yellow room, one of my favorites. I'm sure it's lovely. Just have my luggage sent up. The woman snatched the cards and slid them into her pocket, then went to sit at the desk as if to look out the window. Ava pursed her lips and headed back to the elevator. There was no one else working in housekeeping that day, since Benita, her house manager, was sick, and Elena had already finished her cleaning. That left Ava to handle the luggage. She didn't mind, though. Getting her hands dirty, so to speak, was what reminded her of what her staff did and how thankful she was to have them. The trip back to the main floor didn't take much time at all, and when she stepped out of the elevator, her breath caught at the sight in front of her. A woman stood there dressed head to toe in a floor-length black dress with a wide-brimmed hat perched on top of her head. A black scarf wrapped around the hat to under her chin, masking most of her face. She stood with her back to the elevator, but Ava just knew it had to be Mary Grant. "Hello," she said brightly, trying to curb her enthusiasm. She usually wasn't so affected by celebrity, but the woman standing in front of her, if it were indeed Mary Grant, was a legend. Reclusive, talented, and daring, she wrote stories that meant something. The figure turned, and Ava was met with wide blue eyes and black hair in a bob framing an angular face. The blue eyes blinked several times before the woman spoke. "Hello." Her voice came out raspy as if from years of smoking, and she offered what didn't quite pass as a smile. "I'm checking in. Can you help me with that?" While Ava wasn't wearing the typical bed and breakfast uniform of khaki pants and a black top, she must have looked official enough to pass for an employee. "Yes, absolutely." "Calm down, Ava," she reminded herself and stepped to her desk. "Can I get your name?" Her voice squeaked a little, and she looked down at the computer to let the embarrassment pass. "Yes, it should be under Grant." It was her! Ava took in a deep breath and typed in the name to pull up her reservation. "Yes, we've got you here for a week staying in the orange room. You'll be right next to Mrs. Weston." She looked up, but Mary Grant didn't show any indication that she was happy about that or that she was unhappy either. She seemed indifferent. "I just showed Mrs. Weston to the attic. We haven't named that room yet. She seems to think the space will be sufficient for you. I hope that's the case." "I'm sure it will be fine," Mary said, her gaze flitting to the front window and back. "Do you have many guests here?" "Not at the moment," Ava admitted. It was a slow week the week before Christmas. "We usually feel a lull here around the holidays." Mary nodded. "I expected as much. Good." Ava smiled and handed over her key. "Do you need assistance with your bags?" "No, thank you," she said, then pulled up the handle of a rolling bag. "I'll come up with you," Ava said, standing. "That's not necessary. I'm bringing up Mrs. Weston's bags," she admitted. "I see." It was as if Mary was attempting to hide her reaction, but Ava caught the slightest narrowing of her eyes. They entered the elevator, things a little tight with Rosalie's 3 bags, but the door closed and began its ascent. "Is there public access to the backyard?" Mary asked. Ava blinked. "Excuse me?" "Public access to the backyard." Ava blinked. Oh, no. I mean, there is no coded gate, but we've not had trouble with that." She smiled, but she felt her own hesitation. In reality, there had been an issue once after a man had been shot in the alley, but that had been a one-time thing, and Ms. Grant was likely worried about photographers. "It's secure. Don't worry." "I see."